There is a plant in your house right now, I would wager, that you have very nearly given up on. It sat so green and so lovely the day you carried it home, and now look at it, yellowing and drooping, dropping its leaves one by one onto the sill, gone soft and sad and sorry, and every time you walk past it you think to yourself, well, that one is finished. I may as well throw it out and be done. Do not throw it out. Not yet. Because I am going to show you a simple old way to bring a dying plant back from the very edge, using nothing more than two plain things sitting in your kitchen this very minute. And it works on very near any plant there is. The flower, the fern, the houseplant, most any potted thing that is fading away on you. And it does not matter one bit how far gone it looks. Now here is the mistake that nearly everyone makes with a dying plant, and it is the very reason their plants die. When the leaves go yellow and start to droop, they fuss over the leaves. They give it more water, thinking the poor thing is thirsty, when very often that is the exact thing killing it. They move it into more sun, they pour on the plant food, they fret over the part they can see. They treat the top of the plant. But the leaves are only telling you the story. They are not where the trouble lies. The trouble, near every single time, is down where you cannot see it at all. Down in the pot, in the roots. Those roots have been sitting too long and too wet in tired, soured old soil, and they have begun to rot. And a plant with rotting roots cannot drink and cannot feed, no matter how much you give it from above. So it starves and it drowns at the very same time, right there in its pretty pot, and the leaves are only crying out about it. You cannot save that plant from the top. You must go down to the root of it, and that is exactly what this old method does. I am Amos, and I am Amish, and I have brought more half-dead plants back to life than I could ever count, with no fancy potions and no bottles bought from any store. Just the plain things that any kitchen already holds: cinnamon and rice. That is the whole of the secret, and I will show you now just how the two of them are used. The first thing you must do is the boldest, and it goes against everything your worried heart will tell you. You take that dying plant and you lift it clean up out of its pot and you bare its roots. Gently, gently you crumble and wash all of that old soil away, every last bit of it, until the roots hang naked and clean and you can see them plain. I know it feels like a cruelty to a plant already so weak, but it is the kindest thing you can do. That old soil is the very thing that soured and drowned it, full of rot and gone lifeless, and the plant will never recover sitting in it. Bare the roots, and you give the plant a clean, fresh start, and you get your first true look at what you are dealing with. And now you read those roots, for they will tell you everything. A healthy root is firm and pale and springy to the touch. A rotted root is dark and brown and soft, mushy, falling apart between your fingers, and often it smells sour and foul. So you take a clean, sharp pair of scissors, and you cut away every rotted root you find, all of it, back to firm, healthy tissue, and you cut away any part of the stem that has gone soft and dark as well. Do not be timid here. Every bit of rot you leave behind is a sickness that will spread right back through the whole plant and undo all your work. Each cut must be clean and sure. This is not cruelty. This is the very heart of the whole method. You are cutting away the dying so that the living has a chance. A plant cannot spend its last strength holding on to rotten roots. Take them off, and it can put everything it has left into saving itself. Once the rot is all cut away, you rinse the whole plant gently under a soft stream of cool water, washing the cuts clean and rinsing off any last cling of the old dirt. And then comes a step that folks always want to skip, and must not. You set the plant down in a cool, airy place, and you let it sit, and you let those fresh cuts dry. An hour or two, even longer for a bigger plant. Because if you pot a plant up again while its cut roots are still wet and raw and open, the rot comes right back in through those open wounds, and you have gained nothing. Let the cuts dry over first. Patience here saves everything. And now, the first of our two kitchen secrets, the cinnamon. That plain brown spice in your cupboard, the one you dust on your oatmeal, is one of the finest natural fighters of rot and fungus there is. It has been used to guard plants for a very long time, and for good reason, for it kills the very molds and fungus that attack a weak and wounded plant. So while your plant is fragile and its cuts are fresh, you put the cinnamon to work. The simplest way is to dust the cut ends of the roots and the stem with the dry cinnamon powder straight from the jar, coating every wound. Or, if you like, you steep a good spoonful of cinnamon in a cup of water that has been boiled and then left to cool, and you soak the base of the plant in that cinnamon water for half an hour or so. Either way, the cinnamon settles into those open cuts and stands guard, keeping the fungus and the rot from taking hold again while the plant is at its very weakest and least able to defend itself. And if the leaves are dusty or spotted, you can wet a soft cloth in that same cinnamon water and wipe each leaf gently clean, which guards them too. While the plant takes its cinnamon, you make ready its new home, for you must never put it back into that same dead, heavy soil that nearly killed it. What a recovering plant wants above all is a light, airy medium that its new roots can breathe in and will never drown in again. A fine mix is a little good garden soil or compost blended with a larger part of coconut coir, about 1 part of the soil to 2 parts of the coir. The soil gives it a bit of food and holds a gentle moisture, while the coir keeps the whole mix loose and full of air, so water runs through and never stands and sours. If you have no coir, coarse leaf mold or a bit of fine bark, or even clean sand will loosen a heavy soil the same way. Mix it up light and fluffy, free of any hard clumps, and you have made a cradle a wounded root can grow strong in. Then you pot the plant up, gently. You settle it into the new medium and spread its remaining roots out soft and even, not bent nor crammed against the side of the pot. You fill in around it up to the base, but no deeper, for the crown of the plant wants air and will rot if you bury it. And you press the medium down just lightly, only enough to hold the plant steady and stop it wobbling. It will look weak yet and small and sorry, but it is now sitting in clean, living, breathing soil for the first time in a long while, and its recovery has already begun beneath the surface where you cannot see. And now the second kitchen secret, the one that feeds it back to strength. The rice water. When you rinse or soak a couple of spoonfuls of plain rice in a jar of clean water for a few hours, that water turns cloudy and white, and it draws out from the rice a gentle goodness, a little starch, some vitamins, a soft trace of food. Now here is why this and not a strong plant fertilizer. A sick, weakened plant with freshly cut roots cannot take strong feeding. Pour store fertilizer on a plant in this state, and you will burn what little root it has left and finish the job the rot started. But rice water is the gentlest feed there is, mild and soft and kind, exactly what a plant just out of the sickbed can take. So you strain off that cloudy water, water it down with a little more clean water so it is gentler still, and you use it to water your newly potted plant, just enough to settle the medium and no more. It wakes the roots and coaxes them to grow without ever once shocking them, and whatever rice water is left over you can put in a bottle and mist your other plants with it, for they will thank you for it too. Then, the hardest part of all, which is to leave it be. You set your plant in a bright spot, but out of the harsh, direct sun that would scorch a weakened thing. You keep it warm, and above all, you do not overwater it, for overwatering was very likely its first undoing. You let the top of that airy medium dry a bit between waterings, and you give it that gentle rice water now and again. And then you wait. Not days, weeks. A plant heals slow, from the roots upward, and for a good while you will see nothing at all happening up top, and you must trust that below the soil, out of your sight, fine, new, white roots are reaching out into that clean medium. Do not dig it up to check. Do not fuss and flood it with worry and water. Just warmth, gentle light, a careful hand with the watering, and time. And then, one day, it comes. A small new shoot, a curl of fresh green where before there was only bare, sad stem. Then a young leaf unfurling, bright and new. Give it the months it needs, and that plant you had all but thrown in the bin will stand full and green and living again. And many a time it will reward you with flowers, blooming as if to thank you for not giving up on it. I have seen a plant come back from a single sorry stem and a handful of roots to a thing of full health and beauty, all from cinnamon and rice and a little patience. Now let me be honest with you about the one word in the whole of this, and that word is almost. This method saves a plant that is dying from its roots and its soil, from the rot and the overwatering and the tired old dirt. And that is the way most potted plants meet their end, which is exactly why it saves so very many of them. But if a plant is failing for some other reason, starved half to death for light in a dark corner, or crawling over with little bugs, or chilled by a cold draft from a window, then bare roots and cinnamon alone will not be the whole of the cure. So as you nurse it back, set it in good light, look it over close for any pests, and keep it warm and away from the draft, and you mend those other troubles right alongside the roots. Find the true cause and tend to it, and almost any plant there is will forgive you and come back. So that is the whole of the simple trick, and you can see now why it works on so very near any dying plant. Because it does not fuss over the leaves that are only crying out. It goes straight down to the true trouble at the root, cuts away the rot that was killing it, guards the wounds with the cinnamon, sets it in clean, airy soil where it can breathe again, and feeds it back to strength with the gentlest food there is. Most any plant that is dying from its roots and its soil, which is most any dying plant there is, can be brought back this way. The next time you look at a fading pot and think it is finished, remember that it very likely is not. Bare the root, cut the rot, dust the cinnamon, give it clean soil and a drink of rice water and a little time. And do not give up on a living thing one moment before you have to. Next time, since we are on the subject of bringing plants back to health, I am going to show you the plain old ways to read a struggling plant before it ever gets this far gone. What the yellow leaf and the drooping stem and the spotted leaf are each trying to tell you, so you can catch the trouble early and never lose a plant again. Until then, go and look again at that pot you had given up on, and give it one more chance. You may be surprised what a little cinnamon and rice and love can do.